an endless sequence of, I am the most racist person you've ever fucking seen. I am the Adolf Hitler of Gazans, okay? Every single time I hear someone fucking talk about like how Palestinians are and how they should be, it's literally just a freak who just says, I want to do like Hitlerian style governance on the Palestinians, and here is why it's just and moral, okay? Covered this. Oh, this is what I wanted to show. This was gone viral.
Videos for everyone who support Palestine. If you don't support Palestine, you can scroll. What's Palestine? I am dead ass requesting you to tell me what's Palestine. Do you know who you're chanting for and what you're chanting? When you say free Palestine, you are not talking about Gaza. Do you know that? Gaza is not Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It is calling to end the existence of Israel from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, which
it's fire. She's spitting, dude.
Which includes the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and the entire state of Israel, the only Jewish state in the entire world. 7 million Jews and 2 million Arabs live here in peace.
That's a bit of a cap. I don't think the 9 million people living in Israel are living in a peaceful way. That is before we even think about like the Bedouin or the Palestinian citizens of Israel that are also second-class citizens in general and are like not allowed to have the same amenities. But also, you can't fucking talk about peacefully existing when you are operating an apartheid state. Okay? You just can't say that. There is no, like, the South African government, while maintaining the apartheid, could not be like, listen, we're fucking peacefully existing here in South Africa. Okay? We're peacefully existing. No, you're not. It is inherently not peaceful. It is the opposite. Okay? That's before we even talk about the Nakba, okay? There's no peacefully existing when you are operating an apartheid state. You can't say that. Actually, they did say that. I know, but it's fucking ridiculous. Every single person will look at that. You don't address the Tiger to the Sea slogan as a call to genocide, though? Yeah, it's not. It's not a fucking, what do you mean? The river to the sea, you mean? It's not a genocidal slogan at all. That's where the Palestinian people live. That's where the Palestinian people have a right to return. It's not. All right, let's continue.
With your free Palestine idea, where do you want us to go? Where do you want?
Stay where you're at. Stay where you're at. Give reparations and allow Palestinians to be able to return to their fucking homeland. You know what I mean? The ones that were purged and ethnically displaced. Fucking 75 years ago, 56 years ago, many, many times over, last year, this fucking year, right now. Allow them to peacefully coexist. You can stay wherever the fuck you are. The idea of no longer believing in the project of Zionism doesn't mean ethnically cleansing Jews. It's not taking the harm that Zionists have done to the Palestinians and like having them suffer under conditions that are similar. It's just to say, listen, as long as Palestinians can also peacefully coexist here, then it's fine. Now, of course, Brain Dead Trolls are gonna clip chimp. Stay where you are. So hard, bro. Wait, what do you mean? Isn't she in Israel? I don't get it. Stay where you are. There's no. I assume she's in Israel. She's acting like she's in Israel. It's pure projection. You recognize that your project has been a colonial and violent one, so you assume any kind of restitution will also be done under similar means. This is the same fear that a lot of white people in America have, where they think, oh, if white people become the minority, okay, then white genocide is happening. Why? Because then when we become the minority, they'll treat us the way we treated them. It's the same principle behind Every other master-slave dynamic is the same principle behind how the capital owner, the boss, thinks that, oh my God, the worst fate to befall me is not that I die, it's that I become a laborer again. And I know how bosses treat laborers because I am a boss at this moment. It's the same exact thing over and over again. That's it. It's the colonizer assuming that the same fate will befall the colonizer once they are no longer the colonizer. That's why ultimately, okay, the idea always revolves around a hypothetical future genocide. This is like what this is what Zionists say all the time. It's like, well, if we don't do a genocide now, then there might be a hypothetical future genocide. And that's a ridiculous way to justify your existence. It's crazy.
Us all to go. What do you think is gonna happen the day Israel stops existing? Do you not think that if Hamas takes over, if the damage they are already doing, having full control, full complete control over the tiny area that is Gaza, what do you think is gonna happen the day they have?
It's so funny. This also is like kind of like a weird Jewish supremacist way of thinking, because it's like you get mad because you're like, well, Hamas is like they're Muslim fundamentalists, right? They're Islamist fundamentalists. Okay, well, what's going on in the Israeli government? What's happening with the Israeli government right now? Like, so what's happening there? You have like Messianic Jews that are Jewish supremacists and fascists, like outright fucking fascists, who are varying degrees of psychopathic right wingers, okay, and they are operating under the assumption that like they want to genuinely develop the final stage of the theocratic ethno state while simultaneously purging the lands, cleansing them of all the Palestinians. Okay. And you're saying like, fucking Hamas is going to come in and do the same thing, but in the Muslim direction. And that will be worse. If you have no issue with the current way that the Israeli government operates, then you shouldn't have an issue with the way that Hamas could operate as well. It's just that, you think that it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because they're Muslim. However, there is the most Messianic Jews aren't really a thing in Israel. Messianic Jews are also called Jews for Jesus. Yes. Well, I'm talking about like settlers as well. So Messianic Jews and also Zionist Christians. Itamar Ben-Gvir is the national security minister and open fascist. Exactly. The point is, if you want to destroy the power that Hamas has, okay, the best thing to do is stop what you've done so far as the Israeli state that has created the conditions for them to seize power. That's it. Time and time again, Palestinians have said all they want to do is be able to coexist. Hasan sounds smart until one of his viewers has the brain the size of an atom. Nice, dude.
Full, complete control over the state of Israel. What do you think is gonna happen to you chanting Free Palestine in the streets right now?
Oh, then this is even funnier, because then not only is Hamas going to overtake Israel and turn Israel into like an Islamist fundamentalist place where they're ethnically cleansing Jews, but then also on top of that, they're going to come for everyone in America too. Exactly. Listen, brother, sisters, people that believe this shit, a lot of liberal Zionists in America, not Jews, like Christian liberal Zionists, Jewish liberal Zionists that are otherwise progressive, will look at this situation, okay, and go, that is right. Maybe they'll come for me next. And that is no different than the dumbass fucking conservatives thinking that, like, if we don't kill every pedophile warlord in Afghanistan or give them bags of fucking cash, they're going to come for our personal freedoms here in the United States of America. How is this any different? How is this any fucking different? You literally think that if the Taliban takes over Afghanistan, brother, you don't understand. They're coming for my freedom of speech next. It's the same shit. Instead of Taliban, substitute that with Hamas.
You want freedom for the people of Gaza, who, by the way, you guys are categorizing together as Palestinians. You have no idea who lives there. If you want freedom for these people, you stand with Israel to end whoever is actually.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, the actual occupiers are the Palestinians themselves, who are inside of the current formation of the Gazan government, which happens to be Hamas. That's cool. Yeah. No, totally. The only way we can liberate people is by bombing them. Okay, so does that mean fucking Palestinians can bomb Israel to rid it of its incredibly corrupt, incredibly fucking right-wing administration? Is that what you think Hamas is doing when they're sending rockets? Yeah, dismantle the fucking Iron Dome then, so that Hamas rockets can finally fucking reach their targets and rid Israel of its corrupt right-wing fucking administration. Of course, if you were to say that, everyone would look at you like you're fucking crazy. But you can say that about Palestinians all day because Palestinians are not seen as fucking humans.
Occupying them. Israel has never attacked Gaza unprovoked, ever targeted the Gazan civilians during any war or any attack that we have inflicted upon Hamas and their terror targets, the places they hide their rockets and guns and ammunition, which are civilian homes, hospitals, schools.
Yeah, dude. Again, same principle still stands as always, okay? Anything that you hear someone say about Palestinians, you can substitute for Israel and you would get the actual truth of the matter. Swap Hamas for the IDF or Israeli government and swap Palestinian for Israeli, and you literally arrive at the same fucking conclusion. Once again, the IDF's headquarters are in the middle of a civilian area, in the middle of a goddamn mall, okay? It's ridiculous. Every single person in Israel has mandatory conscription unless they can get away with a religious exemption, okay? So then every single person is technically a human shield in the sense that they are enemy combatants. HasanAbi had commented that on Our World News, and they got banned, apparently. Of course,
the people of Gaza can't speak themselves against Hamas because they know they'll be killed. You, from the comfort of your home in your Western country, think that you can speak for the people of Gaza about who is inflicting terror on.
Wait, what? Are you speaking for Palestinians as you defend the endless bombing campaign? What the fuck? That's insane. Who the fuck are you, dumbass? The fuck? I mean, at least I talk to actual fucking Palestinians and see them as human beings, you know? I love the idea that, like, the colonial mindset has not changed in so many fucking years. Like, we're taming the barbarians by doing ruthless slaughter to them. It was the same when we did it to the Native Americans here. It was the same when the conquistadors engaged in it. It was the same when they did it in Africa. It's always the fucking same. It was the same in India. It's always, we have to be ruthless because these guys are fucking barbarian and we have to tame them. We have to tame them. We have to tame these ruthless barbarians by being infinitely more barbaric than they ever could have imagined being. I love the gall, the audacity of being able to just like sit in your fucking comfy home, okay? As your government is just slaughtering, butchering fucking children mercilessly. okay? And you sit in your comfy little home in your jammies as your government has stopped any kind of food, water, or electricity from going into the Gaza Strip, its own concentration camp that it's operated for many years now, for decades, that it also bombs regularly in a process they call mowing the lawn. And you're saying the only way to civilize them is by continuously bombing them, and you can't speak for the Palestinians because you don't understand it because you're in the West. That's crazy.
500,000 Gazans cross to Israel every single day to work.
Yeah, that's crazy. First of all, I don't think that number is correct. And secondly, there are... No, I don't think it's 500,000. I think she grossly overestimated it. And secondly, okay? Secondly, why do they have to go into Israel to work? Why did they have to go into Israel to work? Why can't they engage in commerce in their own fucking land, which supposedly is rid of any kind of Israeli influence? Why is it that the Palestinians in Gaza fucking pick up trash and try to, recycle it for like $6 a day? Yeah, it was 17,000 and recently increased to 20,000. Not 500,000. It's so cool. It's like an apartheid guy being like, listen, a lot of our workforce is black. Things are very good for them. How dare you want to end this apartheid? Okay? It's really fucked up of you. I'm sorry. Do you see this country club behind me? Yes, black people are not allowed to be inside unless they're working, but they're working there, coexisting peacefully. We created a Bantustan for them. That sounds cool, right? Don't say it's a ghetto. Different. And now they get to work here. What's the problem? Oh, it's a problem that there's 4 different kinds of identification, 2 different kinds of license plates for the Palestinians living in West Bank, which is their own territory, which is currently occupied by the standing military of an oppressive colonial force that regularly jails them for no reason, that puts them through endless humiliation through checkpoints in their own goddamn towns that didn't even exist like 10, 20 years ago. Well, some of them get to work in Israel, so I don't think there's a problem here.
He makes something very, very clear. Since Israel left Gaza in 2005, Israel does not owe shit to Gaza.
That's fucking nuts. Nuts. Yeah, it's really fucked up that, again, Israel doesn't allow concrete to go into Gaza because they'll say, oh, they're going to build tunnels. Okay? Israel doesn't allow for water desalination plants to exist inside of Gaza because they bomb them, they blow them up, and don't let you repair them. Israel hasn't allowed Gaza to have an airport. Israel doesn't allow Gaza to have a port in general, like a port for ships. What do you mean they don't owe shit? They owe everything to the Palestinians. Everything. They owe the world to the Palestinians. Let's be fucking real, okay? When I say one state, I mean one state with reparations. The entire world owes so much to the fucking Palestinians. If there was any goddamn justice in this fucking planet, we'd be on our hands and knees begging for forgiveness, for the horrifying pain that we've subjected them to for generations. Get the fuck out of here. Gross piece of shit. Israel doesn't owe anything to Gaza. Fuck you.
The electricity, the water. Why isn't Hamas providing the...
How are they supposed to? Are they supposed to fucking materialize electricity and water out of nothing? They have one fucking aquifer. The water is toxic. They have to rely on desalination plants that Israel doesn't allow them to build. What are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to fucking do? You keep bombing the infrastructure. Not you, but you're defending those who do that. There's one power plant inside of Gaza, one that is operated by the Gazans themselves, the Palestinians themselves. The rest of the electricity comes from Israel. It's a grift, okay? Israel has created a horrifying condition in Gaza, and Israel is also the ones that make money off of those conditions. You want to know something? A lot of people talk about how, Gazans get billions of dollars of aid. Okay, you know who's actually making money off of that? Israel is. Because all of that aid, like when we send money to these authorities, they have to, one, work with Israeli officials to be able to exist inside of Gaza. Two, when they're buying medical supplies and when they're buying food, you know who they're buying it from? Israel. It's disgusting. There is nothing that goes into Gaza that Israel doesn't control. What the fuck are we talking about?
Those things to Gaza. Where is all the billions of dollars they are being?
I didn't even have to hear her say that. I knew that was coming. And notice how I fucking talked about that already?
Sent constantly.
I hate that dumb bitches like this think that like the billions of dollars is just being dropped with cash. Okay? They're dropping parachutes of cash into Gaza. Hey, stupid idiot, what do you think the fucking billions of dollars of aid funding go to? It goes into Israel. It then is purchased oftentimes through Israel, okay, and then shipped into Gaza in the form of grain, in the form of flour, in the form of different types of food and medical supplies. They're not fucking, nobody's like making it rain on Gaza, and then the Palestinians then take the money that they collected, like the gold coins they collected, like it's fucking Sonic or something. And then they go to Mr. Hamas, and Mr. Hamas is like, all right, time to go to the merchant. As everybody knows, there's a secret merchant in the bottom of the fucking Hamas tunnels where they can purchase all the rockets as long as you can fill your fucking inventory. Like, is that how you think this works? Ridiculous. Yeah, there's like an NPC merchant shop inside of fucking Gaza where they could just like, they buy rockets and then they fucking fill their inventory, and then that's the maximum amount of rockets that they can get. No. People fund humanitarian aid that is desperately a necessity in Gaza because Israel has it under full blockade. Israel controls all of the areas of entry into Gaza. Let's continue.
We don't have to let Gazans come and work here. We don't have to give them food, electricity, and water.
Dude, I'm sick and tired of covering this story for the past fucking 3 weeks now, because every single time I hear someone who is pro-Israel talk about this issue, it's literally just an endless sequence of, I am the most racist person you've ever fucking seen. I am the Adolf Hitler of Gazans, okay? Every single time. Every single time I hear someone fucking talk about like how Palestinians are and how they should be, it's literally just a freak who just says, I want to do like Hitlerian style governance on the Palestinians, and here is why it's just and moral. Okay? There's nothing, it's just pure racist vitriol. I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. What is this argument? There is no decent argument you can make in this circumstance, okay? It's so nuts. And as someone who has dedicated the past fucking 10 years of his life to fighting against all forms of oppression, okay, from anti-Semitism to every other kind of fucking bigotry, it blows my mind that this is such a prescient fucking point that people just simply cannot see for what it actually is. It's just Islamophobic, anti-Arab sentiment being masked as though it's the only possible way of governing these fucking barbarian hordes. It's fucking insane. Hasan, I'm gonna be real with you. Anti-racism reinforces racism. What? There is no difference in the way that this fucking freak is talking about Palestinians and those who live in Gaza than the most racist Klan member talking about black people. Okay? Straight up, dude. Fuck. Literally substitute everything she's saying. Instead of Palestinian, if she was saying black, you would understand exactly what the fuck she's saying. Okay? You'd be like, oh my God. How does she not feel embarrassed to be able to say such awful things? How does she not feel even a shred of humanity or decency? The level of hatred that she's operating on is so insane. And the comfort and callousness that she has. Holy fuck. Wow, now you're accusing the racists of racism. How long can you go? Shaking my head. I simply cannot believe this. It's just nuts. It's nuts that I have to sit here and fucking act like this is not just pure racist vitriol, dude. This is why Chomsky said the Israeli conditions that they've subjected Palestinians to is worse than the fucking apartheid in South Africa, because like 90% of the population was black in South Africa and they relied on them heavily for slave labor pretty much. Whereas Israelis openly will tell you, we don't even want them as slaves. We just want them fucking gone, like forcibly expelled. This is why Chomsky says that. Dude, you're actually stupid. If we're all, it's just nobody's race. It's like a double negative. What?
We don't have to warn them to go out of their houses when we attack Hamas targets. We don't have.
Dude, over the course of the past 3 weeks, by the way, I totally understand why that one chatter a couple days ago was like, yo, the way you say Hamas is like pissing me off because you sound like the way, a very specific way that some Israeli people call Hamas. Like, it's just like every time I hear that, the guttural ch, it just like, it's like slowly but surely making me twitch a little bit. Fuck, dude. Just Hamas. It's Hamas. We don't have to fucking let the Palestinians know. Like, dude, you're just a fucking racist. Like, you're just a horrifying racist monster. We don't have to let the Palestinians know before we blow their houses up. Nobody even thinks that it's okay that you're letting them know and then blowing their houses up. Only other fucking racist monsters like you who are conditioned into thinking that Palestinians aren't human think that that is like an apt justification for you claiming that Israel is the most moral army. Fuck, dude. Don't think about the sounds too much. People will take it as racist and use it against you, but that's not how you say Hamas anyway. That's not how you say it in Arabic.
Have to do anything, and somehow we are held to the standard that we do. Hamas kills their political opponents. They have not held elections since they.
Who has killed more of the secular political leadership of Palestinians? Let's think. On the one hand, you have Mossad, and then also on the other hand, you have Hamas. Or on the one hand, you have the IDF, and then on the other hand, you have Hamas. Also, real weird saying that as someone who is ostensibly Israeli, I assume. What happened the last time a dude was like, we got to fucking do a two-state solution? Oh, that's right. Israel, or at least the right-wing forces, assassinated him, Yitzhak Rabin, and he wasn't exactly a fucking good guy who believed that like Palestinians are human beings anyway. And then they voted, the guys who fucking begged for his assassination have been voted into power ever fucking since. Since then, time and time again, Israel's been like, that's our guy. Love the guys that fucking killed this guy. We love him.
They've been elected in 2006. Even after they have GoPro'd a massacre of 1,300 people, not people killed by rockets, massacre by hand, you still don't know who they are. You still don't realize they do the same thing to the people of Gaza. You still support these people. If you want Gaza to be free, you support Israel annihilating Hamas.
This is just like, I don't know if she's a bibist, right? That's what they were saying is the term, right? I don't know if she's like, what's the term, Likudznik, or a bibist. But I mean, how is this any different? How is this any different than what Benjamin Netanyahu's been fucking advocating for? Like, no. This is totally the way to go. I mean, totally the way to go. We keep killing more Palestinians, and then eventually Hamas will just cease to exist. Not realizing that, like, the past couple of decades of this mentality, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, is responsible for October 7. That's how it happened to begin with. Hamas and its influence has only grown in that time frame. And it's not just what the Israeli government has done to Gaza either, okay? Yeah, you can't stop a school shooting from happening or a hostage situation in a bank by blowing up the bank or blowing up the school, okay? However, this is the IDF mentality. It's just like, oh, is there a school shooting happening? Let's blow up the fucking school. We haven't found the main shooter. You know why? Because we just haven't blown up Maine yet. It's time to nuke Maine. Okay? That's the only way we can ensure that there is never, ever another fucking mass shooting that happens in Maine ever again. And technically, you're not wrong. If you kill everyone in Maine with a fucking nuke, then you will be able to technically stop, at least for the interim period, mass shootings from happening in Maine. Yeah, I just solved it, dude. She said being killed by a bomb is not the same by being killed by a hand. Yeah, it's true. There is truth to that. At least from the perspective of the bomber, yeah, it's way less personal. So it's you don't feel it as traumatic as a person who, like, kills you up close and personal, right? And the justification for it is that because it is ethnic cleansing done by this mechanical procedure that's far away, okay, that it is much easier to justify as like, oh, it's collateral damage. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. From the Western world, if you're confused as to how people are just like looking at this ethnic cleansing directly and saying, oh, it's fine, like this is fine, it's a necessary thing, you have to understand that is because we here in the United States of America, we live in fucking Connecticut, we have no way of understanding what it's like to be constantly fucking bombed, okay? But we have a better way of understanding what it's like to be afraid of terrorism, no matter how unjustifiable and how silly it is, right? That fear, that paranoid delusion was instilled upon the American population after 9/11 in an effort to justify the mechanical killing that the American military machine engaged in the Middle East. And the enemies, or those victims of the war on terror, was considered enemy combatants and their family members. Okay? And that's why most people in America cannot comprehend what it's like to be Palestinian, but they can at least understand what it's like to be Israeli. That's it.
Hamas and freeing them of the people of Gaza. Once Gaza is free of Hamas, there will be peace. Don't you think that if Israel was truly controlling Gaza and occupying Gaza, this wouldn't have happened? We would know what was going on there.
Wait,
Wake up already.
Wait, what? Has she not heard the way Israel speaks about how they know everything that's going on in Gaza? Well, I'm sorry. I thought they knew all the targets that they were going after. You know? I thought they were completely aware of all the targets they were fucking blowing up and shit. What happened? Which one is it? Huh. Interesting.
These terrorists are using your values against you. They are hiding in their terror tunnels right now alongside 199 hostages. These are not freedom fighters. These are bloodthirsty monsters. Stop chanting these empty slogans and wake up to see what is right.
These people literally do not have a coherent talking point when it comes to pogroms in the West Bank. Yes, that's precisely why they never talk about pogroms in the West Bank, because it's a deep shame that they even recognize is conducted largely by psychopathic zealots. Okay? That's the reason why you never hear about the West Bank from an Israeli person. Never. They never, ever bring up the West Bank. Because, I mean, there's not really a fucking argument that you can make for Gaza either, but at least they have, like, the talking points lined up, and that is a type of violence that Americans are at least comfortable with. Whereas when you talk about the West Bank, all of a sudden, it becomes more, it becomes closer to, like, the Western experience, you know, getting shot in the fucking face with an AR-15 by some psychopathic dude, oftentimes from fucking Brooklyn or Long Island, as a matter of fact.
Right in front of you. The siege, they have a fence around Gaza. Have you seen what happens when they make one hole in the fence? Have you seen what happens?
I mean, again, this is just pure race at this point. She's saying every Palestinian is a fucking bloodthirsty animal who, if they break through the fence, will come and fucking rape and pillage. That's what she's saying. Every Palestinian is going to do fucking October 7 all the time, permanently.
In less than 5 hours to 1,300 people. When they break through this fence, this will never fail to amaze me. Gaza's under siege. The fence around Gaza, do you mean the border? Somewhere that is not our territory? Same border that 500,000 Palestinians cross to make money here in.
Okay, the 500,000 number is just, like, not correct. But even if it was correct, okay, like, let every fucking Palestinian come back into Israel proper then.
Israel? The same border they can easily cross if they don't affiliate.
Language is important. You do sometimes hear about it from Israeli people, but never from Netanyahu fans and right-wingers. That's true. I mean, I will be having I'm gonna have someone from Israel talk about. I mean, I've had someone from Israel talk about this already, but I'm gonna have one more person as well.
With Hamas or carry any weapon? The same border they have with their Egyptian brothers who do not allow them any.
Again, it's very gross. Like, you know, the Palestinian and the Egyptian are one and the same. They're both Arab dogs. You know what I mean? They're both Arabs. They're Egyptian brothers. They don't want, but even their Egyptian brothers don't want them
Anywhere near their country. And if after everything I said, you still support Hamas, there is no other way to say it. Your values align with Hamas. And I'm being very, very gentle.
Man, so gentle. That's a threat. You in America, if you believe in the humanity of Palestinians, okay, if you believe in the value that Palestinians have as human beings, then you must be Hamas, which means we're coming for you next, bitch. Okay, listen. Make like the Associated Press building in Gaza and fucking boom boom. You know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, man, I'm going to keep it $1.50, okay? At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. You should be very afraid of that. True. It's coming for you. What I was going to say is, for the ad break segue, which I'm running now,